Good morning, everybody. I am sitting here in my office at work. I'm wearing my ugly Christmas sweater that my son bought me, and I thought that I would read to you a Christmas story today, The Magical Christmas Horse by Mary Higgins Clark. This book was actually donated to the church by a family from the church, and it has special meaning for them, so I'm glad that I get to read it to you today. The family was going to the farm for Christmas. It seemed to 8-year-old Johnny Alvern that as far back as he could remember, all he ever really wanted to do was return to the house where his father had been born. Johnny and his parents and little brother Liam lived in Scottsdale, Arizona, at the edge of the desert. Johnny's father was a famous painter, and people came from all over to buy his paintings of the desert. "Everyone has a heart home," he had once told Johnny, "and mine is here in the desert." But the pictures Johnny loved best were the ones his father had painted years ago of the big stone house where he had grown up. Johnny and his parents had visited Connecticut when he was 3 years old. Ever since, his grandparents had been spending the holidays with them in Arizona. Try as he would, the only thing Johnny could remember about being on the farm was riding on the beautiful wooden horse that one of his great-grandfathers had carved many, many years ago. His dad had told him that Johnny used to sit on the horse and pedal so fast that it was hard to catch up to him, and his grandfather had said it would always be Johnny's. When his mom and dad announced the wonderful news that they were visiting Connecticut for Christmas, all Johnny could think about was his wooden horse and what a perfect Christmas gift it would be for Liam. He told Liam how beautiful the horse was and that he couldn't wait to chase him on it the way his dad had chased him when he was 3 years old. Johnny loved his little brother so very, very much. He was sure that this would be the most wonderful gift Liam would ever receive. The last day of school before Christmas, they left. It was snowing when they drove into Connecticut, and Johnny was thrilled to watch the snow coming down. He thought of all the things he couldn't wait to see. First was the great stone house that his family had lived in for 265 years, with all of its secret doors and fireplaces. It would be great to play hide and seek with Liam there. When they arrived, the stone house was just like his father's painting of it. Johnny stood and looked at it for a long time, even after the others went inside. Then, when he did go inside, he ran through all of the twisting, curving hallways, trying to see if he could remember any of them. At bedtime, Johnny asked his grandfather about the wooden horse. "Is it in the attic?" he asked. And then he shared his secret with his grandfather. He had told Liam about the wooden horse and promised it would be his Christmas gift to him. His grandfather's voice softened. "Johnny," he said, "last year we lent a lot of antiques to be shown at a historical program 2 towns away. Something happened. The wooden horse was never returned. But I am sure that we can find Liam something at the toy store for you to give him instead." Johnny didn't want to hurt his grandfather's feelings, but he knew nothing else would do. Johnny remembered a book his mother had read to him when he was little, about a boy who wished for something so much that his wish came true. "I'll wish, and I'll wish, and I'll wish," he thought, "and maybe someone will bring my horse back." That week, he and his grandfather were always together. They walked all over the 200 acres of Alvern Farm. His grandfather showed him the apple orchards and the hay fields and the vegetable gardens and the valley where the helpers were selling the Christmas trees. Johnny wanted to know every single thing about the farm. When everything was planted, when it was harvested, what what was good weather for crops and what weather would hurt them. "You're a born farmer, Johnny," he said. "This will be yours someday, if you want it. It wasn't right for your dad." 3 days before Christmas, while Johnny's mother and grandmother prepared for the holidays, letting Liam help them, his father was working around the house fixing things from a list Johnny's grandfather had given him. Liam told Johnny how happy he was that on Christmas Day the beautiful horse would be waiting for him. But despite all of Johnny's wishing, no one had called to say that the horse had been found. The day before Christmas Eve, Johnny got up earlier than anyone else. Being very careful not to wake up his little brother, he slid out of bed and put on his robe and slippers. He had an idea. Maybe if he looked in the attic, he would find something else to make Liam's Christmas special. The attic was very big and very cold. Johnny picked his way around carefully, but he couldn't see a single toy that might be right for Liam. He was about to go back to bed when he looked at the attic trunks and decided to see what was in them. The first one was filled with pictures. One of them was George Washington, and Johnny remembered that his grandfather had told him that the first president had stayed in this house during the Revolutionary War. But there were no toys in the trunk. Making sure that nothing was disturbed, Johnny closed the trunk and went to another one. When he opened it, his mouth rounded into a big O. Inside was a military uniform like the ones he'd seen in history books. He remembered that his grandfather's grandfather had been a military hero. This must have been his uniform. As Johnny pulled the uniform up, his hands touched something else. Something that couldn't be a uniform because it felt like it was made of wood. Carefully, he lifted up the heavy uniform and in the dim light looked down. Underneath the uniform was the wonderful horse that they thought was lost. Johnny ran his hand over it, so happy to see it, so happy that on Christmas Day, Liam would be able to sit on it and Johnny would be able to chase him. When he got a good look at the wooden horse, he was filled with disappointment. It wasn't the same horse that he remembered. The neck and 3 legs were broken, and the wheels were either missing or broken. The wood was cracked all over. At breakfast, Johnny's dad and grandfather could see that Johnny was very quiet. They asked him why. He told them what he had found and how disappointed Liam would be. "I have to break my promise," he said. "He can't ride on that horse now." The next day, Christmas Eve, Johnny's grandfather said he was going to be very busy, so he asked Johnny if he would help the farmhands sell the farm's Christmas trees. Johnny loved spending the day helping people pick out the trees, but he couldn't stop thinking about Liam. All the while, Johnny wished he could keep his promise. On Christmas morning, Johnny tiptoed quietly downstairs very early. Santa had left many presents around the tree, but one thing stood out: the wooden horse. Both red knobs were in place, as shiny as when Johnny was little. The horse's body was gleaming white. The cracked legs were fixed, and all the wheels were on the hooves. The tail was bright blue as the sky on a cold winter morning. The reins were silver and had gleaming gold stars painted on them. It was just as he remembered it. "Grandpa and I didn't want to let you down, Johnny," his dad said, smiling. "Grandpa made new legs and wheels for your horse and new pegs so Liam can sit on it, and I painted it." "Liam will love it," Johnny whispered. "It's a magical horse." And we made something for you, his grandfather said. We hope you think it's magical too. It was a beautiful wooden Christmas ornament. The stone farmhouse was painted on it, and so were the fields and the woods and the barn. They were all covered with snow just the way they were that Christmas morning. Grandpa carved this, and I painted it for you to have when we go back home, his dad said. If there's anything I'm sure of, it's that this is your heart home. We knew you'd be glad to have this reminder of it with you. Yes, Johnny whispered, yes. He looked out the window at the snow falling on the trees and the fences and the fields. When I grow up, I'm going to live here always. At that very minute, they heard a squeal of delight. Liam was standing at the door of the living room. Without a word, he rushed across the carpet and climbed onto the horse. Chase me, Johnny, he called. Johnny put his beautiful ornament on the mantel over the fireplace. Wishes do come true, he thought, especially Christmas wishes. The end. I hope you enjoyed that story.